Hi, I'm Kevin Paulin.
And I'm Ben Backus.
And welcome to the Falling Up Podcast, where we have conversations about turning obstacles into opportunities. And on today's show, we have Mr. Keith Smith Jr., who is the founder of the Purpose Factory based out of Waterbury, Connecticut.
Keith brings with him a lot of experience in many different domains. And he really is able to share why he founded the Purpose Factory, which does incredible work in the community, helping individuals find meaning and purpose. And he goes about it in a very practical way. Instead of talking about ideals and what to strive to be, he talks about really getting out and doing it.
Absolutely. Some key words that stuck out to me was accountability, being courageous, resilience, and passion, as we'll hear, is his superpowers. And I really enjoyed it, and I really think this is one of those episodes that, for those that are looking for guidance for having their falling up moment, this is the episode to listen to and to really latch on to get that.
Absolutely. So Keith will kind of introduce himself in the beginning and talk about the Purpose Factory. Without further ado,
welcome to the Falling Up Podcast.
Well, my name is Keith Smith Jr. I'm a founder and lead coach of the Purpose Factory based out of Waterbury, Connecticut. It's a transformational coaching practice to help men in transition to find their purpose and living in it. We feel like it's important to help at-risk, marginalized opportunity youth from underprivileged communities to have an opportunity to get their life on the right path before they end up making wrong choices or find themselves in the justice system behind what we call the G wall or prison. Mm-hmm. And even if that does happen, I like to also let those that go through that process and come home feel like, although you've made that misstep in your life, that doesn't have to be it. So I also feel like my program is fit for the returning citizens. There's so much aspirations to how I feel like that can be beneficial for their aftercare when they do return to society. So it's all up. It's all up. I think that there's so much conversation that needs to be had from my perspective because it comes from a lived experience. I also come from inner city. I also feel like my life, although I kind of liken it to Good Times. If everybody ever heard of an old show, you may have to go Google this show.
Oh, no, I know Good Times.
Good Times is an old show, but I've seen it myself, and it's a little bit before my time, but definitely had chances to see reruns of it, and it just reminded me of what my life was like. You know, we grew up in the time of the Cosby Show. That was my era, but my life wasn't the Cosby Show. It was more mimicking the life of Good Times, where you had a mother and a father. They're decent. My parents were migrating from another country. They're Jamaican. So I'm Jamaican by descent. Mother, father, both. All my brothers and sisters were born in Jamaica except for the last two of us, and it's 7 of us all together. We're born in America. And but our upbringing, although was in America, it was very much of a Jamaican culture. And coming here and understanding that and being in our neighborhood, it was just a lot of back and forth because we weren't really, I want to say, welcomed as being foreigners. And it just made a lot of struggles at those times. So I just seen a lot of things happening because I was a little different. My family was a little bit different from what was around, and that's just where I come from. So with that being said, there's a lot in between that and the Purpose Factory launch. I'm not sure how or where you want to go. If we could keep going. Like I said, my story is very real. It's very authentic. It may be aligned with a lot of people. And that's why I took the opportunity to come up here and speak about it, candidly, because I feel like it's some benefit in sharing it with others to let them know that it doesn't matter where you start. It just matters where you end up.
That's right.
And that depends upon you.
I think we're going to pretty much just be quiet for this one and let you share your story because you already got me hook, line, sinker. Like I'm okay. Ready. Before I say anything, and Kev, you can tell me to shut up and be like, yo, that's not how we do it on the Falling Up podcast. But I feel like I'm about to pull up some popcorn and get going.
Okay.
Before anything though, the Purpose Factory, I don't know why it just hit me. That's one of the best names of anything I've ever heard in my entire
Kevin
life.
said that. Kev said that.
Like that is, I don't
said that.
like. It just hit me as you're saying that.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that name? Because it's just brilliant.
Well, I feel the purpose is actually the goal. It's what I stumbled upon. I've done a lot of different things. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I come from, like I said, I come from inner city. I come from that lifestyle. The whole hustling. Criminal activity to make dollars. Selling drugs, all those things to make money, and then kind of through my troubles realizing that there's other things that I could be doing, and was always trying to get myself to transition to that, to get to the better way of life. Sometimes people, come to the game feeling like, this is what it is for me. This is what I'm supposed to do because that's what's presented when you look outside your front door, going back to the good times, good family, good upbringing. But outside of that door, the amount of characters and the things, the whole show was about what they were up against when the kids went outside the door and what was coming in, and as the parents were trying to keep them contained and keep them on the straight and narrow path. That's what it felt like. So I lived in a neighborhood that was like, it was drug infested. It was crime everywhere. It was at the time where we would want to call it the crack era, where crack was really taking over everything. So I've seen it, firsthand, up close, how it looks, what the fiends were looking like, what the life was looking like, what the players looked like, what the upside of it, what the downside looked like, the violence of it all, and was taking it all in, trying to figure that out. And going through all of that, at some point when I got older and had an opportunity to be able to go to the college the first college that I graduated from was Untitled Valley Community College in 2006 with a liberal arts degree. I was in the game when I got this degree. I was doing both. I was trying to get myself, like going to school in the nighttime, or in the daytime. In nighttime, I'm somebody else making my ends meet. And throughout that, when I got older, I had met a gentleman that was going to my school, and he was struggling. He was trying to figure out his way. He was about 19, 20 years old. His older brother was in the game with me at the time, so I knew him. And just one day he needed a ride to school. I gave him a ride to the school. And I'm like, I used to go there. Let me get a ride to Untitled Valley. Gave him a ride. We're talking in the whole way. And then I said, I'm going to walk in and see if I see any old advisors or old professors that just wanted to say hi, check in with them. And when I stepped in, a gentleman approached him and asked him, if he was going to be at this place called the Men's Group, if he was going to be attending. And I was like, what's the men's group? We didn't have that when I was here. And it was the director of the ACE program, and he was, I think his name was, can I say names? Well, that's public knowledge. Rob Sheptel is the director of the ACE program of the Untitled Valley. And he, encouraged the young man to, be there, and I'll see you there, and kind of stepped off. So I'm kind of asking the young man, like, what is that you're talking about? What is men's group? They didn't have that when I was here. Oh, it's just a program that they put together to kind of support those that are academic probation and just trying to keep them on the right track. So they give them a place to go and get their homework done, ask extra questions, get extra tutoring help if you need be in between your schedule. Because, as you know, college is not like high school where everybody's flowing one way. Everybody has different scheduling. The classes are all over the place. So you have to kind of position yourself because you want to be at this program or you want to get this help to be a part of the ACE program's men's group. So that was the day that they were having it. And I said, after I went and talked to some people, I said, what time is it? Oh, it starts about 1 o'clock. Okay, cool. I go to the men's group. I attend for the first time, met Rob, introduced him and let him know, who I was and why I was here at the school today, and just wanted to say hi to everybody and just, talk, just check on people that I knew here from before, advisors, professors, stuff of that nature. And he said I could come in and took the opportunity to go in and sit on it. And I heard there was a lot of deans and professors that took off their time to come in, be part of this program to get these young men, keep these young men kind of motivated on their academic journey. They already had one set up for the young women in the school, so they figured that they should start one for the men. And as I was there and talking with them, I kind of see that I was feeling it because I hear these young men and they're giving their experiences, and what I'm taking from it is that although they are here in college, they too have struggles on the outside that's affecting their performance at college. I didn't when I first started college. I didn't finish. I actually left because I couldn't do both. I was trying to, I had a kid at the time. I got my girlfriend pregnant pretty early, so I had a kid coming at like 18 years old already. So I was like, okay, I'm trying to go to school, but man, I need to, make sure my bills are paid and things are matched. So it was like trying to do the college thing just wasn't working. So I actually withdrew my first time being in college. And it wasn't until after, a couple of years later, after I was incarcerated for the first time and I came home, I said, I want to go back. So I went back to school and started back again. So I understood at that point, listening to them, that they are teetering on possibly making that same decision in their life. I could hear it in the room. Some of them were very lackluster about their academics at that moment. Remember, they're on academic probation. So they're in this room. It's like, yeah, you don't get it. You don't understand. I got to make sure my little... And you just hear the different young men say their story, and I'm sitting here quiet like a fly on the wall, like, wow, okay. And I want to talk to this. Oh, man, I got something to say. So as the room kind of introduces itself, all the deans kind of introduce themselves and the professors kind of introduce themselves to the students. It comes to me. Who am I? I'm nobody. I'm just a person that came to sit in and listen today. I've been to here at this school before I graduated from here, but I want to add into you. And I step into one of the young men's story that he already shared and gave him just some words of advice on how he could kind of deal with it and kind of get through. Another person, heard me speak and said, what about this? And that went to that. And by the end of that time there, it was about 3 hours we were there, 4 hours we were there, just speaking about different things. I just felt so enlightened leaving there. That was one of the best days of my life. I felt like I never been happier than just doing that that time. And you gonna come next week? Yeah, I'll be here next week. And up until that point, I did a lot of things to make money. Like I said, I invested in real estate. I had my own company. I hustled. I did a lot of things that made money, that paid bills. But I never felt fulfilled by doing it. I never felt like satisfaction after the day was done. So when I felt like that, I'm like, yeah, I'm coming next week. 1 week turned into 2 weeks, 2 weeks turned into 3 weeks. I don't know, probably 6-7 months later. We're going into Christmas break now. And they're like, the director that I met, that's been like here with me, invited me back every time. He said, I want to try to get you hired here so you can actually, get paid for what you've been coming through and doing. The kids love you. We've grown our population since you've been coming. I think we started out with like 5 or 6 people. And at this time, I think we're up to a good solid about 20 people coming. And it was cool. We wanted to keep that going. We wanted to keep growing with that. And I applied for the position. And I had already said to the gentleman that I have a past, when I spoke to him in his office, we had like office hours that we used to spend together away from the men's group. And I got kind of cool with the director. He's a good gentleman, he's a good dude. And I was very open with him and honest with him. And he said, that's fine. That's great. That probably gives you your edge that you have when you come in the room while the men are relating to you, because a lot of social and economic struggles that you speak about, they align with, and that's why you're a good person to be in the room with. I said, okay, so I applied for the position. They did the background check, and they were like, I don't think we want to go further with this with you. And I was like, oh man, but I kind of told you I was already. And to me, it looked like it was better than an interview because you got to see me in real light and real like my dedication, my commitment to what we were doing here, showing up every week on time and just being there every week for that many months. It was like, didn't I already show you who I was and why I'm a good fit for this? But that no created an animal, because now I'm like, guess what? I'm chasing the feeling. You see? Coming every week, that feeling of helping the kids and helping them and seeing their light turn on and like, yo, ask me this. Some kids will wait till after the class is done and I'm about to leave. Hey, you got a number? Can I call you sometimes? Can I email you or something? Like, I got some stuff I want to talk to you about it. And then you started seeing those things happening. Now I'm not even at the men's group. I'm getting calls at 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, different days, off days. Man, I just want to talk to you. I just want to run this by you. I'm like, all right. So me being able and making myself accessible for these men when they called, I felt good about it. So it was at that point I didn't want to give up and lose the feeling that I was having from being able to serve them and be able to say that, if you could take something from my mistakes, you could take something from the life that I've lived before you quit college and go down that path, because there's not a lot of options left if you leave college now at 18, 19. You give up now on college. The journey back, it may stop you in a place that I went that you don't want to go. So I felt that was very important, and that's coming into 2020 January, and things are happening, COVID starts to set in. I think a couple months later, they shut the school down. About March, yeah. At the time, besides just going up there and doing that, I was going to be a personal trainer. I was at LA Fitness, helping people out, exercising. I think that goes hand in hand with transition and change, mind and body. You can be just learning to be better or whatever, but to keep yourself up and show up every day, you may have to do some sort of physical movement or functionality, wellness, I call it. You don't have to be a weightlifter or anything. I just mean like exactly just moving your mouth, get your heart rate up in some way, shape, or form to motivate you to go through, keep your heart going. So that's what I was about. And then COVID hit, so everything stops. And I'm not able to go onto the Zooms with the gentlemen at men's group, because I wasn't actually an employee of the college. So now I want to keep showing up. They say I cannot access because I'm not actually an employee. And time, you left me time to think. And I said, I'm going to find a way to serve this community in every way I can. I started to think about what it is. And I said, man, this is my purpose. Because I realized I had been doing it for 7 months and I hadn't had $1. I didn't get paid one check. You said I could possibly, but I never got hired, so I never got $1. But the fulfillment and the happiness was unmatched. There was no dollar amount that could have matched how I was feeling. And I'm like, I can't let that go. That's the purpose that I want like every man in the world to feel. Because when you're feeling like that about whatever it is you're doing for work, man, whenever you do get paid, it feels like you never worked a day because you love it already. So that's the purpose. And the factories, just think about what a factory is. You have a whole line of people, of assemblers that work on a factory line. A product comes in how it is, rough and rigid, whatever it is, undone. And it goes through the factory line, and different people on the line add in, appropriate, fix, take away, refine, goes through the whole line and comes out a finished product. And that's what I feel like the Purpose Factory is going to do with a person's life. You come as you are and leave as the person of your dreams is our mantra. We live by that. So it's not about where you're at and how bad you may be feeling or where you may be coming from, where you have done, whatever mistakes you had. As long as you're alive, you can always change that. You know what I mean? So we're here that's what the Purpose Factory name derived from. And that's where we like shoot to really aim to like let people know, like don't get down on yourself at the beginning, because we're all a work in progress. We're all imperfect. We're never going to be perfect. So even when you start to move on a journey, don't think it's going to be easy. It's going to be a assembly line of things happening. It's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be parts where you press. There's going to be parts where you have to be refined. People are going to add on to you. People may even stand in your way. There are things that's going to happen in that factory line. But at the end of the day, if you stay with it, the finished product is always beautiful, I think, at the end. So that's what the Purpose Factory means. That's what that name was made up from, all of that.
Yeah, you just gave us a lot to process. And
I tried to tell Kevin, I said, listen, let me know how much you want of this.
Oh, we want it all. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Here, we're going to get into all of this.
Okay.
But there's a few things, that I just want to highlight, because there's this really weird thing going on the Falling Up podcast where we keep having like all these guests talk about the same shit. And it makes me wonder why they tend to be pretty happy. I think there's something to it.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, obviously purpose is in the name.
Yeah.
But how you got there was simply through acts of service.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Showing up, being there for others, giving what was in many ways freely given to you, paying it back.
Yeah.
And as a result, you found this purpose. And like, I truly believe that that's what there's one of my favorite sayings, when you give, you begin to live, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't get much better than
Better
that.
than that, yes.
Ben has 1,007 favorite sayings for.
I have a lot. I know I do. I'm a book of cliche sayings. That's really what I am. But they work. They work for me.
Because every time you say it, I think you're about to say the same one from the last show. Then there's a whole new one.
It's a new one.
I probably repeated them like 50 times, but it's all right.
It's all right.
They're good. They're good, and they get you
live on.
thinking. Yeah, that's it.
For sure.
And then the second piece, right, where you tie in, health is so important.
Yeah.
And for people who don't, right, I think something this October I've been doing this health challenge with a group of buddies, and it's been like the most on point I've been in so long, just with the sheer act of discipline and routine, and then doing things you don't want to do. Right? There's so many times, and one of it, and I want to keep this going past the challenge, but we get points if we do a 3-minute cold shower every morning. Ooh. And it has been the greatest way to start my day because it's only uphill from there. And every day I get in the shower, I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. And then I do it and it feels great. I feel accomplished after. It's only 3 minutes, right? It's not a lot of time whatsoever. But it's those little things. And so many times it's like, man, I don't want to exercise today, but I have to because I don't want these guys to show me up, right? Like I want to be competitive.
There you go.
And then I just feel so much better. But you're right. One of the first things I recommend to anyone if you're trying to get better is rigorous exercise, right?
Yes.
Work. Get the same thing. If you didn't touch your car for 6 months, a year, and you try to drive it, might not run so smoothly.
Use it or
right?
lose it.
You got to get that oil change.
Use
right?
it or lose it.
That's right. But working out, and I love how simply you put it. It doesn't have to be this thing where you kill yourself, but get your heart rate going. Get your heart rate up. Let fresh blood and oxygen flow throughout your body.
That's it.
And you will feel better.
There
right?
You go. I'm more of a fan of health and wellness these days than working out.
Right.
Because when you say working out, everybody like refers to the Planet Fitness guy, pick things up and put things down. Like, no, I don't even want to be that guy. So let's just forget about it. I love running more than anything, but I know that, I do other strength training parts of it also. So I encourage you, everyone, whatever it is that you're doing, I think that's innately an important part of it from the core because you get down sometimes. Sometimes you're so mentally taxed, the laptop, you're sitting in front of it for hours and hours and hours. You're just frying your brain. Mm-hmm. But if you rejuvenate yourself through some sort of movement, I think that refreshes you and brings you back again to keep showing up the next day. So
yeah, definitely. I like I mentioned cheat code.
Yeah.
We always have this thing, me and the guys, we always talk about having cheat codes to being happy. Mm-hmm. And you said something when after that first class, you were enlightened, you were fulfilled. Yeah. And I really want to stress that because for our audience that's in that falling down position, a cheat code is to be selfless. I know for a long time when I was doing the stuff I was doing in terms of criminal activity and everything, it was all fueled from selfishness. Yeah. Everything was about me. I didn't care about nobody else.
That's right.
Once I changed my perspective and made other people more important than myself and be of service, my trajectory of my life skyrocketed. My whole life changed. Yeah. And I just really want to point that out because the smile that you had talking about that, the joy that you're exuding, that's a cheat code. We have to understand by being of service, we're being a service to ourselves.
Yes.
I agree. I commend you on that, man. Because like I text you the other day that keep that energy coming. It's contagious.
Yeah.
It's contagious.
I feel really good about it, So that's what the Purpose Factory began to be. As COVID set in, I sat down and just started to think. I just started brainstorming. Like, that's one thing. But then, my life has been ups and downs. Like, I am, like I said, I'm at risk, youth that come from an inner city neighborhood I wouldn't want to say marginalized. I want to say that, people just didn't think that good was going to come out of there, and those that did, you either left through sports or some nature, basketball, football, or something like that. Yeah. And I wasn't either one of those. I played sports. I don't think that I was excelling as an athlete or in any way, and I feel bad also that's oftentimes we hear in those neighborhoods. Like, that's it. Yeah. If you don't play football, you don't play basketball, like, all right,
Yeah, you know,
there you go. Like, what else you gonna do?
You be slinging crack rock,
and then you'll
or
be
you got
slinging
it.
crack, or either you're slinging crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. He's saying he knows I know it is, so I know it, and that's all that is promoted, and that's daunting because that's a part that I believe is serious. Thinking about those experiences, thinking about all the things that I loved as a kid that I just know that my parents were so preoccupied with just making sure the bare necessities were met for their kids. You know, that takes away from, you know, them even hearing you say, you know, I want to try that, mom or dad. I want to go do this. Yeah. And maybe if they had the opportunity or the economic, you know, ability to be able to say, yeah, but, you know, I can send you to get better trained on that particular thing, you know, or their mind was, you know, open to it. They just aren't, because they're always in survival mode. They were always in survival to make sure that we had it. And they did a great job. But what happens to young people like myself is that if you don't give us something to really start to put our hands on and tangible that we can feel like it's ours and we own it because we just love it, then we start to just look up and look around and try to align ourselves with what we see. Yeah. And that's what happened. Because outside of my house, oh, man, it was going down. I had a conversation with my brother the other day. He's a little older than me. And he just had a different time coming up, even though he's my older brother. He's the same mother, father, everything. But what he's seen, how he viewed life in his time was just different than what I see. And when I spoke to him about it, he looked at me finally for the other day and just like stopped. After all the years, and he looked at me and was like, I didn't know you looked at it like that. I'm like, yeah, man, that's how it was coming in. Like I couldn't get away from it. You know, it was looking outside. It was looking like the game was prosperous. Right. It looked like success looked like that. It looked like it was an option, you know?
It was always, and it's also, because I'm very, you know, we align in a lot of ways. Yeah. Specifically the Caribbean household. Yeah. You know, both parents from Haiti.
Okay. Yeah. Sapase.
My boule.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? So both parents, so I know exactly what you mean by looking outside. And not only is it right there, but it's also obtainable. Yeah. Like there's someone out there that'll show you how to get to it. Yes. Instead of, like you said, other trainings or other avenues that we not a lot of times not even privy to. And if we are privy to, we don't even know how to even open the door to that. You know what I'm saying? And our parents coming from the country, from another country, they still trying to figure out themselves.
Trying to figure it out.
So it's really a tough situation. And then when you see something outside and people shining chains on, cars on, music blasting,
it was a lot. It was a lot to take in. And I actually said to him, because you know he's done well and an educated person, and you know got himself together, nice everything. So it's like, and I said to him honestly, I said, if I knew that when you were working those tree jobs, you know, back in the day, you know, he had a lot of jobs before he became educated. I was like, if I knew you were going to end up where you ended up in life, then I probably would have never went. But I didn't have that to refer to at the time. Right. When I'm looking at it as a young man coming up, 10, 11 years old, I'm looking at what it is, not what it's going to be. I don't even know how to think about what it's going to be. Yeah. I don't know about what today looks like. So I know that's a lot of people in those environments that come from those, like I said, socioeconomic struggles, that they're just trying to figure it out.
And then you get into that mindset of, right, the difference between living in the moment and living for the moment. Yep. Right? And when you're living for the moment, I like to think of it as living in the moment. Hey, I'm just being present. I'm aware of what's going on. I'm aware of my choices. Yep. I'm doing what's in my control today to better my life a week, month, a year, 5 years from now. Whereas living for the moment, it's screw what's happening in the future. How do I get mine right now? Yeah. That can be this allure for purpose, right? I'm sure both of you, right, in just everything, I'm sure there was a lot of purpose there, right? It probably felt like family. It felt like camaraderie, all these different things. And that's where, again, going back to these quotes, another one of my favorites is like addiction, and we can switch addiction for anything, right? Yeah. Is a substitute for not having anything meaningful to wake up for. And it's so easy for that to take over and that to become this idea of purpose. But what does that really do? Well, it boxes us in, right? And you mentioned it, you both kind of mentioned it, where, hey, if I can't see it, is it even real? Right. Do I know anything exists outside of my narrow life view? Yeah. And if I don't, how do I get out? It is without some level of luck, it's very hard to get out.
It is.
Yeah.
Right? So can you fill us in on what that was like from being kind of stuck or feeling like you were stuck in this environment to then being able to come out and really find purpose and then create the Purpose Factory?
Well, like I said, when I first started school, I left because I had in situations where I had to take care of my children and my responsibility. Ended me up in prison. I came home the first time after doing almost 3 years, and I was like, okay, all right, I got to get it together. I was down on my funds again. Still had but I'm down on my funds with responsibilities. I have 2 kids, and I'm like, man, I have to get this thing together. So I go back and I re-enlist in school again, trying to do the right thing. But the jobs that were being given or that I was applying for and I got when I was in halfway house, because the halfway house said you have to work. Mm-hmm. You can't get a furlough until you're giving us a payment for your bed. So you have to take a job. So the jobs I probably was aspiring to take, I wasn't, what's the word? I didn't have the credentials for what I probably really had wanted to do at the time. So I had to take a hands-on job. So that motivated me to try to get back in school and try to get some schooling, some education. Kind of figured out what gave me better options as far as occupation. But until then, between time, I'm trapping. That's what I was doing. So
That's throughout your time in the halfway house.
No, I didn't trap in the halfway house. But as soon as I got out and I realized that, okay, I barely got to save enough money to hold down my own apartment. I'm living with my girlfriend. I'm taking care of my kids. My kids weren't living with me at the time, and I wasn't with my children's mother. So I'm just taking care of myself and being able to send her money and take care of my kids through that way. But I have to live. So although I'm enrolled in school, I still have bills and things that's on me that I feel like, working at, the factory that I got a job at. I was at a body shop for a little while, just basically being hands-on sanding. I went to, I'm an auto body technician from high school, but I wasn't really good at auto body. That's not what I really wanted to do. Yeah. So I never really took heed to it, but I could put it on a resume or put it on an application and say, yeah, I know how to sand a car. I could prep a car for paint. So that's what they had me doing. I was sanding cars, got to get them all ready for paint. I was having that job, but it wasn't, like I said, paying for my bills. So I went for alternative. But the good thing about it is when I went to this Naugatuck Valley Community College, it allowed me to have a work study opportunity. So I kind of like that because the incentive of having the work study, you can't keep the work study job unless you have a 75 or better. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, that's motivation to make sure that I'm passing on my classes. I can continue to get this check over here from the school doing that. And it allows me to get the grant that I was getting, the Pell Grant, to be able to pay for school also. So I wasn't paying out of pocket. I just had to make sure I keep that 75 or better. And the Pell Grant kept on refreshing itself. So every semester I just made sure I had that 75 or better. And that was really good. 2006, I graduate. And there you go. I felt like I always wanted out of the lifestyle, but just didn't know how to. Mm-hmm. So I said, maybe, I'm doing some homework. I'm reading on a lot of books. A man from my neighborhood that also had been where I was at and, started getting into real estate came to me and said, if you put in 2 cents together, don't be like one of these other fools and don't do anything with it, let's try to invest in some property and get that going and do that for yourself. And that's a good way to segue, because he had stopped. So I kind of took that in and said, all right, then. Kind of led me along the right path, did a lot of, reading up on it, real estate investing, and kind of got into that. But as that's going along, you have the dip. 2008, things kind of went upside down with the recession. Houses weren't selling.
The bubble.
Bubble burst, man. Mm-hmm. Houses weren't selling. So I made some bad buys in some neighborhoods that, wasn't really well. So now the value of that house went down. I couldn't off it for a profit. So I'm stuck with it. There was a lot of just financial strain at that time for me. So the dream of just buying property and, flipping houses until I said, hey, buy game, done. That's what I wanted. Didn't happen. It was like, no, we're like, and that's what happened. So I'm struggling, end up getting to myself in some trouble in 2010. I have to go back into jail, prison again. So I go back in, I come back out, and You know, it's like more setbacks. It's just always like that. Like you're going in, you come back, you're set back financially. Okay, all right, then I gotta try to get this back together. You know, and this is where me and Kevin kind of aligned a lot of ways. I have a great family. I have to say it. You know what I mean? Man, my brothers, my sisters, they're really supportive people. They always let me know. You know, I even have I have nieces, like my family all together, my immediate family, and you know the extensions of them are just being really supportive. So they're like looking at me and realizing like, okay, you have this one degree, this associate's degree. Imagine if you just put your head down, Keith, and go get the bachelor's and just try to put some distance on this life. What can you do? You know, because in conversations at at our kitchen table, I've always had something to say that was just like, okay, although I'm out here doing this illegal lifestyle, you always bring a certain intelligence to our conversations that is not from school, but you have it, you know. I've read a lot of books on the times that I was down, and I think I self-educated myself a lot in the stints that I've had in prison, so that it allows me to have some sort of wherewithal about the world and business. And I used to share that, so they were always encouraging me. And still, I didn't see it for myself, so I continued to do what I thought was best to put food on my table. And there I go again, getting another run-in with the law again. I'm back incarcerated again in 2013. And I'm just like, this is crazy. So, you know, when I come home this time, but in the process, when they did encourage me after the 2010 stint in prison, I did come home. I did get aligned with school, and I said I'm going to do it online. So I was able to get my bachelor's in Ashford University in sustainable enterprise management, and I felt that it was a great and innovative degree because it brings like 3 different genres together. You know, you have sustainability, which is environmental, and how we're just sustaining the earth and things like that. Management is just business. You know what I mean? Organizational skills is just business and leading and putting things together, managing projects. I thought that was great, so I used that. But it's funny, as I'm getting the degree, I'm about to take time to go to prison. Like I'm going to court for the case to take time, and I'm getting the degree. So I literally get the degree in December. No lie, I turned myself in January 9th of the next year. I'm like, this is nuts. So now this one is the hardest bit ever. I'm sitting there knowing that, what if? Right. The what if was killing me, dog. Like, man, what if I just stayed with it? What if I just listened to my people? Right. What if I took the encouragement they were telling me to stop? Feel me, Kevin? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And this is when you were saying certain things. I was like, this is crazy. Come on, now. You can't be having the same story. In certain ways, it is like that. And that's what it was. When people love you, they're always going to look out for your best interest. They're going to be telling you things that you don't want to hear when you should hear it. Mm-hmm. And they were constantly doing that, and they never let up. They never felt like they were going to accept me being less than what they thought I could be. And that was resounding with me. When I came back, I was like, this time, I want to be different. You know, and again, when you have a resolution to make moves like that, I believe that there's energy in the world. I don't know about it. I believe that there is bad energy in the world. I believe there is something called a devil in the world that just wants to not see you be your better self. So when he hears you really like putting it down, you're really praying about it, you really want to say, man, I want to be this person. I believe some things will start to go wrong for you just to make you not feel like it's possible. Right. And you get down and discouraged. And that happened to me. And I think with all of that, I still wanted to make a change. And it took me to go up to that school that day with that young gentleman, to really go in that place and see what it looked like from the bird's eye, like I got bird's eye view, because now you're 20 years old, 19 years old saying you want to quit. You're not sure if you want to stay with this school thing. And I just thought about it and said, man, I want to reach in your head right now and show you my whole, you don't got to be 38 years old and feeling like, you don't have to do this. Please don't do this. Don't make a whole bunch of pit stops when this is the route that you should go. How do I impression this upon you? So that became something I wanted to do with my message. And I built the company, I realized a lot of the things, mental and emotional, that I had to go through to be able to achieve that. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have a lot of things that you go through and it's traumatic and you don't understand why do you move the same way. They say you doing the same thing over and over and getting the same results is insane. It is a form of insanity. You know what I mean? How are you saying you hate prison? I hated prison, but I kept on doing things and actions that kept landing me there. Why? You know? So I wanted to understand that why. So that's why I say to people that, I don't know, I had to find a therapist. I wanted to talk to somebody that was professional and that understands things from a professional standpoint. So I did it. I know that sounds weird coming from, my background and people like myself. What? You went there? Yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah,
I felt, you know what? To me, it's like to understand myself in a real way. Sometimes you can't process it all on your own. You need to have somebody just kind of clear it up by the questions that they ask you. And that was, I realized therapy mostly is about, they're not giving you anything. They're actually asking you questions to self-evaluate yourself.
That's right.
In a real way, a way that you're afraid to a lot of times, because you see yourself in the mirror, but are you willing to look at yourself in the mirror? A lot of people won't. And I felt like that would made me courageous to be able to say that I have no fear to face myself in the mirror and look at all the things that I know I'm not doing that I should be doing and the whys of it. And once I got clear on it, then going to the school that day was very easy. It was so much going into school that hit that way, I think, because I was always already on a process and a journey of finding who I really was. Feel me now?
And that's it, man. And something that comes out because, again, it's this interesting thing where it's this juggle between the why and the what for me, right? And when I'm in my life and when I work with individuals, I find that if I just solely focus on the why, I can get that answer and still do the same shit I've been doing, right? I can still know exactly why I do whatever negative behavior or negative thing, and I can know that answer and still do it, right? So what you just mentioned that was so very important is you talked about actually making changes and then going back and figuring out the why. Yeah. Right. And I know this isn't the first time we've hit on this, but I just think it's so important that the why can be so helpful in maintaining someone's change. Yeah. But without the action of the what are we going to do to make our lives better, it's pretty meaningless. It's pretty meaningless. So I think it's just so impressive. And there's so many things that you just mentioned and something that came out that I just want to have a conversation around, right? You talked about the negative energy and how the devil and how when you're trying to make a change, like that's when it comes out. Yeah. And my perspective on that is when you decide you want to make a change, you're finally looking to do the right thing, or you're looking to pick yourself up and move forward, right? Yeah. So all of a sudden you begin to see those obstacles, and those obstacles become so clear in your life that it can be like, oh shit, how do I overcome? I've never had to face this before. So I just trying to put like words to the devil and words to that energy. That's what comes to mind for me. And I could be totally off with where you guys are at, but it's kind of like if I'm not trying to change, I'm not looking for those changes, and I'm likely not going to see those massive obstacles that stand in my way because, let's face it, I don't really care about them. I'm not going that way anyway, right? Right. I'm going this way where there's all sorts of other obstacles, but nothing towards the self-betterment.
What you focus on, you see more of.
Absolutely.
That's what I believe, So if you're looking for change as I was, many a times I would find myself calling family members and saying, and it was in the midst of me being and making what from the world standpoint, from another person looking on at my life, they're like, he's successful. He's really doing things. And I'm like, I don't feel it. I don't feel good though. I would actually call people in my family and say, man, I don't feel good, but I have money. I have things. I'm like, if I show my life to somebody else, they would want it. But I'm like, this is not it, though, because I don't feel good about what it is that I'm doing to acquire these things. I'm telling you, man. And that's why I really want to talk to and plead with those that are in the same positions that I was in with you. And I know that's why I'm here on this podcast, because I know people going to watch and see. And you're going to hear what I got to say. This is it.
Yeah. You always pay for what you get. There's no shortcuts.
No.
There just aren't, right? Where you say, hey, when I think I have this quick avenue to feel good, I feel nothing.
Right.
Right? And then when I actually work for it,
right,
I feel good.
Yeah. Or not even work for it, because see, that's the thing. You went from doing something like everything had to count.
Right.
My time counted. If I'm with you, I'm trying to figure out a skill. How am I going to get this person to pay me, or I'm going to get $1 off this person?
Absolutely.
It was never nothing that I did for just the ha-has. No, this got to count. Some way, shape, or form, this relationship is going to benefit me monetarily. But when I started to realize that the best thing in life, they say, is free, I was like, golly, living in your purpose could be that you're doing something for free and still finding joy. And I'm like, how do I work this? And to help a person go to the mental and emotional levels of uplifting yourself is what the Purpose Factory is about. That's the transformational coaching practice. That's what we're doing. There's steps that I've taken in my own life that I've documented how those steps go. It wasn't 1 to 10. It was a lot of zigzags. It was like 1, 2, 3, back to 1. Yeah. 1, 2, 5. I made it to 6, back to 1. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of times you're gonna, go back and have to restart again. And I realized that if I document it, then when I speak it, then they'll listen because they'll understand. One, I am that, did that. There's nothing no one can take away from me and what I did in the game and in my life and what I did. I was with it, whatever it was, true blue. So now that I'm making a change, I'm doing something different, I'm also true blue in this too. Right. So, like it or love it, this is what I think real life feels like. Finding yourself, finding your purpose in life. And it may mean you having to do the work, mental, emotional, dealing with the traumas that you've dealt with in your life, get over it, get past it, and then go back to what you just innately love. What do you like doing? Who are you? The gram, the social media, all this is great. I love it. But it's a two-edged sword because you don't know who you are, then you're just being impressioned by everybody else's life.
That's right.
What are we doing here? These kids are out here trying to align their life to people's highlight reels. You can't align your life, your reality, your real life of what you go through every day to a person's 1 minute post of what they put on. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's
know how much they prep themselves to put and give you that second or that 5 minutes. Right. You try to run that down. Don't run that down. Find out who you are, sit with yourself. Think about what do you like just from kids? What did you just lose time doing? What is it that you just lose time doing? Find your superpower, because that's what I like to talk about with my young youth when I talk to them. Because they're always, comparison, they say, is the killer of dreams. Because as soon as you start to compare yourself to other people, then you start to feel bad about you. But if you look into yourself and figure, okay, I do this well, it's going to be different than what Kevin does well. It's going to be different than what Ben does well. And I have to be okay with that. And then take that and move forward with it and try to perfect that about myself, which allows me to always be a winner because I'm always going to feel good about myself because I'm doing something that I just know how to do well and build all that. That's your superpower. Everybody's an Avenger. We're all wonderfully made. We're all wonderfully made. So don't ever get down on yourself for what you don't have or what you don't do, because if you look into yourself, man, you're great. You're your own Superman. You're your own Hulk. Everybody's their own, and you think about it, all these different Avengers not the same person. And they don't all do the same things. Be honest.
But they all Avengers.
Dog. You feel me? That's my favorite story. I love that. And every time I talk to kids, they try to I want to be like, oh, that's cool. If you honestly love something and you see somebody doing it, that's different. Because now you're saying, I'm going to follow that person and what they did as their blueprint they set out because it's going to get me closer to what I really want to do. But don't look at that person to say, I want to do what they're doing just because you like the success of it all. Right. Nah, that's not your purpose. When you just like something, then deal with that and look out and seek out people that can bring that and enhance that experience for you. Follow that, then that's fine. But don't try to be somebody else's, superpower or emulate the superpower because it may very well may not be yours.
So this is happening backwards today, right?
Hey, man.
So we always ask every single guest the same question. And the question is, if you could say one thing to someone who is stuck and has just fallen down, what would you tell them? You couldn't have answered that question better than you just did.
Yeah.
Find your superpower.
Find your superpower.
Find your superpower. Yeah, no, that I mean,
love the Avengers analogy too.
Yeah,
man.
man.
Everyone different.
Everyone's different, but great in their own right.
Yeah, Kev, we were talking, it must have been months ago at this point, about what is your superpower. Where'd you get that from?
I don't remember.
You don't remember that? Do you remember the conversation? I think it might have been one of the
watching
Buddhist
one of the
groups or
videos.
something like that. Or it might have. It really might have. But we were talking about that. Like, what would your superpower be?
What reminds me?
Yeah.
Oh man. Wow. What would my superpower be? Probably remember Captain America? He said, Earth, wind, fire, heart. Boy said heart. I think heart, I got a huge heart. I think that's my superpower. Like, I love to help people and be for people and be of service. And, like, you know what I mean? That's my cheat code, and that thing been working.
Yeah.
So I would say heart, man. You? What would yours be?
What would mine be?
I'm asking you. You can't ask me and then ask me again.
It is true. I probably got to throw something out. I don't know what my superpower would be.
It takes some time.
Yeah.
It's funny how I say that easily, and people, they always they call me after, and like, they'll tell me what my superpower is. I'm like, I really can't.
Right.
I really can't. What I can share with you is things that will lead you in that direction. Now, just think about stuff that you like to do early in your life that you were just doing besides video games. I think we all lost time playing video games. We love playing video games, but that's not going to really pay us. Unless you're growing up to actually be a video game programmer, then no, that's not your purpose. So you have to scratch that and then go with something else that you just like doing, that you lost time doing, that you don't mind just doing for free. That just brings you a lot of joy and happiness when you're doing that particular thing. Like, start there. It could start off as a hobby. It could start off as a trait, like something in your personality or something that when you are exuding this, it's good for you, or people comment to you about it a lot. Man, you're just great at this. Here's somebody else to meet you. You're just great at this. It's like, my superpowers, and you can have dual. That's what I believe. You're not limited to one. Most of us have at least one. Because like I said, we're all wonderfully made. If you look deep within, we all have at least one. Can you be a superstar and be able to be blessed with more than one? Yeah, I think you can. I think that's wonderful about people too. Don't get down on yourself if you only have one. But for whatever I believe in, I have a sense of resilience and passion for. I think that's mine. I don't take no easy. You're not going to keep me down. I fall down a lot. I fell down a lot in my life. And the rise, to get back up, the won't stop, I can't give up on me is just what I think I tap into everything that I'm addressed with in my life. It's just, I can't lay down. Death is the only thing the day I'm going to lay down. When y'all lay me out, that's when it's over. But other than that, anything that comes up against me, there's got to be a way that I can get through this wall. It's going to take me some time. I'm going to bang my head. And like I said, I may have to reset. But I'm not stopping. That's out.
That's out.
That's out.
Absolutely.
So we're not never, and like he said last week, never giving up. I think that goes along with it. That resilience of just not giving up. But definitely, when my passion, when I believe in something, I'll go hard for it. And that's just what it is with me.
Well, we appreciate you, man. We really, really do. And I'm going to end this in an odd way. You referenced it many times, and I'm a firm believer that the easiest way to learn information is through reading. There's so many topics that this life has to offer, and it quite literally is the easiest way to gain information. You find a credible source, you read that, you find another credible source, you read that, and all of a sudden you become an expert simply through $10 to $15, sometimes $20.
You want to know some books that changed my life?
And that's what I want to know. I want to know your top 3 to 5 life-changing books.
You ready? Okay. Yeah. Number one book that changed my life. Listen, you have to take this how it's going to come. The Bible. 1. Okay. Mm-hmm. Number 2, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. Man, this is the third one. You said 3. This is tough, man. 3.
You can give us 5. If you need 5,
I give you 5.
Yeah, let's go 5.
The Power book, 40 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
By R.D. Green.
Yep.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad Rich Dad Poor Dad by I think it's Kawasaki.
Robert Kawasaki.
That's Kawasaki. Up. I love that book. And the fifth. How do you want to end this, Keith? And the fifth. This is a tough one. The fifth. Man, I want to go so many ways on this one. Where I want to end on this one. This is tough. Because I read a lot of nonfiction fiction books too, so it's like, okay.
That works too, though. It's whatever the book. The book don't matter what kind of book.
We talked about it the other day, and I think I'm forgetting his name. Napoleon Hill?
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich. That's sick. Brian Tracy's books. His whole collage of books changed my life because it was just, I used to listen to him in my car like all the time, and it was just like his business mind is sick. You know Brian Tracy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. But yeah, monumental.
It's
monumental.
All 5 of those books, even the Bible.
Yeah.
Though I'm a Buddhist, my pops is a reverend, so I grew up in the Christian home.
Okay.
And all 5 of those books are in my special place in
Yeah.
every single one of those books.
Yeah.
Especially all of them, actually. I spent a lot of time during my times of incarceration, all 5 of those books.
Yeah.
And I still have them.
Yeah.
From that time. So
Philosophies of Marcus Garvey.
Ooh.
Hard Body.
Ooh.
I see. It's like I said. You wanted me to. I don't, man. There's
It's
a lot.
hard.
There's
It's
a lot.
hard.
It's tough.
And I guess the reason to even bring that question up again is it really, you have people who have dedicated their life to a singular topic and they've put it into a digestible, I guess, means of delivering all this information to us for a lot of times for free. And it's take advantage of it. I've done more learning in my life through reading than pretty much any other platform. And it just is, it's not hard. I mean, I knew nothing about money for so long. I started reading. Money's not really figuring out how to handle money isn't really an issue anymore. Where at a point it was a massive issue for me, right? And the same is true with books on relationships. The same is true with books on diet and exercise. Like there's so many things that you can nonprofits, absolutely. And even just like Think and Grow Rich, manifesting your purpose, right?
Yeah.
Figuring that these are all things that are incredible. Well, on that note, thank you. Okay.
Keith, I want you to let the people know where they can find you at, where they can find Purpose Factory at.
Okay.
And let's share that info.
Well, one of my favorite ways to find me is on LinkedIn. I have 2 profiles. I have my Keith Smith Jr. I'm the founder and lead coach of the Purpose Factory profile. Then I actually have just the Purpose Factory profile with my logo up there. So both ways I can be contacted there. I love YouTube. I post there every day. I feel like that's a good way of putting out content and just amplify my footprint online. I never really used, social media prior to coming into owning this business. I was kind of afraid of it actually, but I realized to get my message out there, I have to utilize it. So I'm on Instagram at @purposefactory_. It's Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I guess I have a TikTok account because my niece feels like if you're talking to youth, Uncle Keith, that's where they're at. So
she got a point.
I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I have to get used to that one. I only had it for about 2 weeks.
Me too.
But I realized that there's benefits in it and staying current and just keeping the lines of communication open for whatever the person I'm trying to speak with, my avatar, are in those places. So I would like them to see me and have access to me. So if I have to go there, that's just part of, like you said, doing some things that you're not comfortable doing or don't want to do sometimes. That's part of running a business and being an owner. You wear all the hats, and you have to make sure that you do the things that sometimes it's uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you again for hopping on. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see everyone next time.
Falling Up Podcast.
Thanks.
Chill.
I hope that was all.